Wow, what absolutely perfect timing. President Trump gave a speech at the United Nations this past Tuesday, September 23rd, and completely eviscerated what I call the carbon con and what he calls
the green energy scam.
Coincidentally, I just dropped a video discussing the motives for this scam one day prior on Monday, September 22nd. Now, in his speech, Trump states,
"The carbon footprint is a hoax made up by people with evil intentions."
But he doesn't say what those evil intentions are. Well, I do. So if you haven't watched that video yet, please check it out. I'll leave a link in the description so you can continue watching this and get back to it at your earliest convenience. Now, I'll be transparent. I voted for Donald Trump. I don't love everything he's doing. Some stuff I like, some stuff not so much. But I feel very strongly about my position on this topic, and therefore loved this dismantling. Let's watch a few of the more entertaining highlights.
In 1982, the executive director of the United Nations Environmental Program predicted that by the year 2000, climate change would cause a global catastrophe. He said that it will be irreversible, as any nuclear holocaust would be. This is what they said at the United Nations. What happened?
I talk about this pattern in my other video. Countless dire predictions that never materialize, except in people's minds after they've been manipulated by the repetitive brainwashing of the mainstream media.
Another UN official stated in 1989 that within a decade, entire nations could be wiped off the map by global warming. Not happening.
This is a long-running con that's purpose is about more than just money. It's been around for decades, and the president touches on that here.
You know, it used to be global cooling. If you look back years ago in the 1920s and the 1930s, they said, global cooling will kill the world. We have to do something. Then they said global warming will kill the world. But then it started getting cooler, so now they could just call it climate change, because that way they can't miss. It's climate change. Because if it goes higher or lower, whatever the hell happens, there's climate change. It's the greatest con job ever perpetrated on the world, in my opinion. Climate change, no matter what happens, you're involved in that. No more global warming, no more global cooling. All of these predictions made by the United Nations and many others, often for bad reasons, were wrong.
Next, we have one of the few statements with which I disagree.
They were made by stupid people.
I'm sure there were stupid people involved, but the people at the top of this agenda were not acting out of stupidity. This narrative was a multi-purpose tool, but this part is accurate.
That have cost their countries fortunes and given those same countries no chance for success. If you don't get away from this green scam, your country is going to fail.
Now, if you thought that Donald would have punched himself out by now, you haven't been watching for the past 9 years. He was just warming up for the knockout blow.
The carbon footprint is a hoax made up by people with evil intentions, and they're heading down a path of total destruction.
And finally, my favorite part, a little anecdote about one of the great salesmen of this epic scam. And full transparency, I voted for this guy too.
And you know, the carbon footprint, it was a big, big thing a few years ago. I remember hearing about the carbon footprint, and then President Obama would get into Air Force One, a massive Boeing 747, and not a new one, an old one with old engines that spew everything into the atmosphere. He'd talk about the carbon footprint, we must do so. Then he'd get in and he'd fly from Washington to Hawaii to play a round of golf. And then he'd get back onto that big, beautiful plane and he'd fly back and he'd talk about, again, global warming and the carbon footprint. It's a con job.
I think I'll wrap it up there. I'm Scott, and you've been watching Shadow Wreckardz Independent Media. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share the video. Lord knows I need the distribution help. See you soon.